Hi, this is Headlines. Congratulations, guys. The good news is you finished reading the article about ChatGPT with more than 3,000 words written by a science fiction writer. And today we'll be taking a look at the words expressions in the article ChatGPT is a blurry JPEG on the web. I hope they'll get some of the highlights and perspectives back to you. I've also created a PDF file with the article and annotations in case you're interested in it or want to favorite it. You could get it in my WeChat account, 英文标题党. Combine that with the fact that virtually every digital image file is compressed to save space and a solution to the mystery begins to suggest itself. And combine that with the fact that blah 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 is expression to offer additional reasons or evidence to make it a fact. Here it is the imperative sentence, but if you use the passive voice combined with the fact that it becomes the adverbial, begin to suggest itself. If an idea suggests itself, it reveals itself and comes to your mind. As you watch these videos, does anything suggest itself to you? To solve the problem, you create an interface that accepts queries in the form of questions and response with answers that convey the gist of what you have on your server. The gist of is the essence of, 主旨概要. You could say get the gist of or convey the gist of, 了解或者是表达一个主旨. Because the approximation is presented in the form of a grammatical test, which ChatGPT excels at creating, it's usually acceptable. Excel at doing something is to be good at something. He excels at writing. This analogy to lossy compression is not just a way to understand ChatGPT's facility at repackaging information found on the web by using different words. Analogy, 类比或者是相似，它的形容词是 analogous. The collocations are make analogy between A and B. A is analogous to B. Facility 我们学过了，除了设施之外，它还有天赋的意思。She has a facility for painting. When we think about them this way, such hallucinations are anything but surprising. Anything but is entirely not, while nothing but is except for. For example, he's anything but smart. 他可以是任何的东西，但就是不是聪明的。He's nothing but smart. 但什么都不是，除了聪明。ChatGPT is so good at this form of interpolation that people find it entertaining. They've discovered a blurry tool for paragraphs instead of photos and are having a blast playing with it. If you say that something is a blast, you mean that it is something that you enjoyed very much. Accordingly, have a blast is to enjoy oneself. We had a blast yesterday. If you want to specify what you enjoy very much, you could say have a blast doing something. Given that large language models like ChatGPT are often extolled as the cutting edge of artificial intelligence, it may sound dismissive or at least deflating to describe them as lossy text compression algorithms. Given is a preposition meaning considering, 鉴于或者是考虑到. Oftentimes, given is followed by a noun or noun phrase, and of course you could use give that to introduce a concessive clause. Given the circumstances, we need to give up our plans. Or given that the circumstances are complicated, we need to give up our plans. Given or given that was used 3 times in this article, such as given the stipulation, blah, 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 or given that failures, blah, blah, blah. That's something worth remembering. Extol someone or something is to praise highly of. Extol the virtues of something. 赞扬什么的美德. By the way, be mindful of the conjugation of extol. Double L for his past tense and past participle. Dismissive attitude. 轻蔑的态度. He's dismissive of the idea that AI will replace human beings. Deflating is the opposite of inflating. If you deflate something, literally you let the air come out. Say, deflate the tire, 给轮胎放气. But if you deflate someone, you take away his strength or confidence. 就是贬低或者是挫谁的锐气. What his dad said deflated his confidence. I do think this perspective offers a useful corrective to the tendency to anthropomorphize large language models. Anthropomorphize, 拟人化. The prefix anthropo refers to human beings. Remember anthropology, 人类学. Morph is to undergo a transformation. 所以呢，组合起来就是像人类的转化. Tom and Jerry are anthropomorphic animal characters. Hunter believes that better text compression will be instrumental in the creation of human-level artificial intelligence. Instrumental here is helpful. He was instrumental to promote peace. 有助于推动和平的进程. As you know, instrumental is closely related to instrument. An instrumental album is where the music is composed for instrument rather than for voices. Even though large language models often hallucinate, when they're lucid, they sound like they actually understand subjects like economic theory. Hallucinate, 产生幻觉. Fatigue made me hallucinate. A lucid person is someone who thinks clearly again after a period of time of confusion or illness. And you could also say a lucid instruction, explanation, or mind. 清晰的解释、清晰的说明，或者是清醒的头脑，都可以用 lucid. The fact that ChatGPT rephrases materials from the web instead of quoting it word for word makes it seem like a student expressing ideas in her own words, rather than simply regurgitating what she's read. Regurgitate 我们第100期的时候学过了，照搬或者是人云亦云。His boss always regurgitated his opinions.A useful criterion for gauging a language model's quality might be the willingness of a company to use the test that it generates as training material for new model. Criterion 标准，它的复数是 criteria. Gauge 就是这个东西。To gauge is to measure or judge the performance of something. 测量或者是评估。Gauge the distance or temperature. Gauge the reaction, interest, or support.The seemingly inconceivable result is worth bearing in mind. A superficial resemblance, amorphous dissatisfaction, rote memorization, nonsensical answers, factual questions, a verbatim quote, content mills. Think of ChatGPT as a blurry JPEG for all tests on the web. It retains much of the information on the web.It is taking 2 points in lexicon space and generating the text that would occupy the location between them. The greatest degree of compression can be achieved by understanding the text. When we're dealing with the sequences of words, lossy compression looks smarter than lossless compression. The more that text generated by large language models gets published on the web, the more the web becomes a blurry version of itself. Your first draft isn't an unoriginal idea expressed clearly. It is an original idea expressed poorly.